Okay, so Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise, you fairly recently launched a generative AI chatbot, even ALIE, and that's, I think, both for channel partners and for employees. I guess it'd be good to start with just a bit of background as to, how and when, this development came about.
Yeah, sure. So I think the first thing to say is that the chatbot was initially created during COVID because there was lots of supply chain shortages around the world. And one of the questions that we were getting asked an awful lot by our partners and our customers was, do you have stock of X, Y, and Z? So that was the first iteration, was just a very quick check on stock around the world. Is it available, or what other components are available to maybe, to help with those customer installs that were happening during that really difficult time when there was a chipset shortage, all those different things. So that's how it actually started. And obviously since then it's been developed more and more, with channel partners now having access to it so that they can ask certain questions as well. And our internal people can ask questions. And we've developed more and more elements within the chatbot just to simplify processes, reduce the time for support calls, reduce support calls as well. So if you can ask a simple question and you don't need to raise a case with support, it really helps and just streamlines the process. And it's also available for our internal employees to ask for internal documentation that's not necessarily open to our partners. So there's a lot of information there, and we just keep developing it and just keep adding more and more features and functions that people have kind of requested to help with that whole process.
Okay, yeah, so it'd be good to maybe understand some of the specific features that are, core part of the offering. And maybe you can tell us just a little bit about it. So 24/7 assistance, what, obviously, I guess most of us think we understand, but in terms of how Ali does that, talk us through that.
I suppose the 24/7 assistance is a chatbot is never off. So that's the first thing. So it is on 24/7. And really, this is the ability for a customer or internal employee just to track an order at any time. Type in the order number. Where is it? Where is it in the supply chain? When's the delivery date? That's very simple sort of questions like that. Answer a technical query. So type in a technical query in your own language. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in English, right? I know we're in the UK right now, but for sure, doesn't have to be in English. Could be in French or German, and it will actually go and find that documentation and translate and come back with the answer in your natural language. So that's a couple of the things there. It's reducing those wait times for support calls as well. So you don't need, as I said, you don't need to place a support call anymore to ask for a delivery date. You just ask the chatbot, as opposed to the old process, let's say, which would have been the customer ringing the partner, calling the partner saying, where's my delivery? The partner then calling the channel manager, where's my delivery? The channel manager then getting onto supply chain, where's the delivery? That process is now completely circumvented with one simple question. So it's really helping reduce that flow, and it's helping ALE operations, so they're not having to get involved in lots and lots of those day-to-day processes. It's really, the other bit is it can also be escalated to a human being as well at the end. If you're not getting the answer that you actually want in the chatbot, obviously you may want to speak to an assistant and actually escalate to that. So that's the 24/7 assistance.
Okay, and in terms, also I think you sort of highlight the fact that it's a conversational interface, which again, I guess we potentially get that, and document search, I think you already referenced there. So perhaps you can tell us, a bit more about each of those in practical terms.
Well, I suppose I don't use it an awful lot, I have to say, but I do use it for some things. One of the things I actually use the system for is carbon footprint information, because that's really important now. So type in a product, just ask a question, can I have the carbon footprint information for a certain product in a certain country, and you get a certificate. So that's a piece of documentation that's created in the back end by pulling lots of information from lots of other data sources that aren't necessarily public, pulling that out and then providing a certificate for the customer to say, there you go, there's the carbon footprint of said product, or a list of products, right? So, but I could ask that in whatever language I want, as I said, and then it will pull that information and give you that certificate. So that's sort of one thing into that conversational interface. It understands that people make typos. Yeah. And I know when I'm doing instant messaging, my instant messaging typing is absolutely awful. I have lots of spelling mistakes in it. It understands those spelling mistakes, understands synonyms and various other things like that. So it's starting to build that picture of, what does that word mean? It's actually meaning something else. And that's how the conversational interface is going. And you'll get an answer back in what looks like a natural language. It looks like it's somebody answering you as opposed to a predefined list of answers that you might see on some of the chatbots, let's say.
Yeah. And also you referenced machine learning and heightened security as other sort of aspects. So yeah, be good to understand what's involved there.
Yeah, well, of course, I mean, anything with AI is there's AI and machine learning. You need the machine to learn lots of things. So as more people ask questions, the more data that's fed into the platform, the more the platform learns. So that's the machine learning element of it, of course, which is the more people use it, the more questions that get asked, the more information that the engine has in the background. It learns to create the right responses, and then we'll give you the correct response. That's the machine learning side of things. With the security side, I mean, obviously being a European vendor, let's say European vendor right now, we are GDPR compliant 100%, and we have to be for sure. But there's also the ISO 27001 certifications, etc., that we've got security. It is hosted in AWS, I believe. I'm not 1,000,000% on that, but I'm pretty sure it's hosted in AWS, which obviously is a very secure system itself. I know that there's some elements with the way that the system is built to make it really secure with the principles of least privilege, so no unauthorized access. All the databases are backed up extremely regularly, automatically. So if there's any issues, we've always got that backup. So that's really, so we're looking at reducing data loss, lots of certifications in terms of the security elements. And I think more and more, we all talk around security these days. So it's certainly a big topic in IT security, whether it's cyber security, whatever. And we're just making sure that we stringently adhere to all the security standards around the globe that we have to adhere to.
Okay, and I guess the sort of obvious thing to ask about the overall impact of ALIE is what is it already? Because I believe it's already being used quite a lot by your employees, and there have been some benefits, but also anticipated. How do you think? I mean, clearly you've explained a lot of the benefits, but how do you see, particularly, I guess, for the channel, the ways in which it can improve your interaction with them? It'd be just good to understand what's possible, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I suppose. For now, it's simplified the processes and reduced that wait time. So that's the thing that it's done already, which is, it's leading to happier customers because we're giving them an answer very quickly. And as a partner can already ask a lot of those questions, then they're not having to wait for somebody from ALE to get back to them with the same answer. They can just literally type. So it's really reducing that time, so increasing customer satisfaction. And it's reduced around 50% of calls to our support agents already. And this is not the full. We're still developing lots more things to go into ALIE, but it's already reduced that much traffic into the agent. So you can see the benefits for us, for sure, and also the benefits for the partners because they're getting that answer really quickly. Getting a knowledge base, so it may be something from knowledge base which they can't find. Sometimes documentation is really hard to find. If you can just type a question in, find the documentation, and it gives you the documentation, just makes it a lot easier process. Searching around a website can sometimes be a bit difficult. We all have our ways of building websites.
Indeed,
but
yes.
For sure, if you just want to type in where is the document for X, Y, and Z, and it will pull that document. I think that's really helping us. And helping us with the customers as well, because although they haven't necessarily got access to the full to ALIE, but our partners do, and we only sell in the UK through partners, so everything's an indirect model in the UK. It's just really building that sort of trust, building the speed and agility that we're trying to really enhance. And I'm fairly sure there's going to be quite a few developments in the chatbot. There's more than one chatbot as well. There are some others being developed as well. Within the networking portfolio, for instance, there's a chatbot being developed to go into our network management platform to help with people to configure things. They ask a question, how do I do this? It will give them an answer. Using the same machine in the background, it will be a different chatbot. So we're doing a lot of integration into different chatbots. And really what we intend to do is bring them all together, if you like. So they will all be linked. So if it's a support, if it's something that's done in the network side, so if somebody asks a question on the network side, how do I do this? Or I have an issue with this, it can also automatically report that ticket to technical support, just streamlining processes again. And then technical support not having to ask the questions such as, can we have the logs for this, this, and this? It'll already be there because it's connected to the network management system, so it's already pulling that information through. And that's where the development's going in terms of bringing all these things together.
Okay. And if we can make a slight switch, because you've been pretty busy recently, so a couple of other things just to ask about. I think you've announced a newly launched private 5G solution that's powered by Celona. So yeah,
Yes.
Please tell us a little bit more about what's involved with that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really exciting development for us. You know, we've seen that I mean, private 5G is quite new to the market, let's say. So, you know, it's not a technology like Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi has been around for 25 years, something like that. Private 5G, in terms of a private cellular, 5-6 years. You know, it's not really a technology that's been around for a long time. But we've seen the sort of the need for lots of our types of customers that we have in certain verticals to extend the network connectivity from what would be the traditional network. So, you know, the traditional network is in the building, right? It's the what we call the carpeted environment. You know, it's in the campus, in the building. For Wi-Fi, that's a Wi-Fi connectivity. But now there's lots and lots more use cases where connectivity is required in these huge open areas. For instance, in a port, you know, they've got huge open areas. Wi-Fi just doesn't fit. It just, you know, you could do it, but it'd be very, very expensive and quite difficult to do. Whereas 5G, because you need less in terms of the access points, let's call them, because they are access points, they're just cellular. It's helping us widen our approach into some of those verticals like transportation, manufacturing, utilities, where they have that need for connectivity. It's really hard to get that connectivity in those areas. So that's why we really started with Celona, and integrating it into our whole portfolio has been really important for us as well. So it's not just a case of having a point solution of private 5G, which we've got our local area network, we've got our wireless, and then we've got private 5G for some other use cases. It's integrating everything together. So one of the strengths of ALE has always been the network management portfolio and how we can provide zero trust network access across the LAN, across the wireless LAN. But now, of course, we're now integrating into the 5G as well, so we can integrate and do the zero trust for the whole estate. So and zero trust is really important because of cyber and all the issues around that area. So that's one of the integrations that we've done. And we are also building some further integrations which make the solution probably more unique, is to bring in also things like topology. So from our management interface, we can therefore then show all the users connected wherever they're connected into the wider network, show the infrastructure, then start to get reports on the infrastructure. Also look at what types of devices are connected, whether they're on LAN, wireless LAN, or 5G, so we get a full list of those. And then we can create policies around that type of device to give them that access to the network. So it's not just to say, it's not a point solution. And for me, I think the interesting thing, and a lot of times we see that 5G and Wi-Fi compete with each other. Not at all. They are very complementary technologies. We see them as completely complementary. Wi-Fi where Wi-Fi fits, 5G where 5G fits, but bringing it all together, managing it all in one plane is the important bit for us.
Okay, that's great there. And one other thing I want to ask about, again, fairly recent. I think you announced a tie-up between yourselves and Westcoast. So
Yes,
what's going on there?
that's quite hot off the press, that one. Yes, that's pretty new.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've in the UK we've been looking for a new sort of larger distributor, that the distributor with that scale that understands the markets that we're in and that we're also trying to extend our reach into. And West Coast were really chosen, with a lot of discussions, I've got to say, to see if they were the right partner for us because of where they fit, the types of partners they have, the reach they have, and also the distribution capabilities they have as well. There's that side of things. So we wanted a distributor that could distribute at scale, for those larger projects, for those larger customers, and also to help us to get into some of the new areas that we are building our own new propositions for. So some of the verticals we've been in for a long time would be public sector we're really strong in. Transportation. UK is very much public sector focus. We've got a big public sector focus, but we can now start to get into some of the other verticals that they have partners already engaged in them, and they're helping us engage with those partners to see if we can widen our portfolio or our approach into those partners. So that's essentially the reason why we went with West Coast, and they're definitely a scale distributor. So we're looking forward to really ramping up the business quite a lot with those guys over the next 6 to 12 months.
And clearly you've been very, very busy, but I'm going to be greedy and ask, what else is going to keep you occupied for the second half of the year, if you like? Is there anything you can share on the roadmap, whether it's just sort of hinting at or actual sort of concrete things that are going on? Just what
Yeah.
what's
Okay.
happening?
So I've sort of hinted at some of the things that we're doing with Celona, right? So that's that integration of the management, so that our management platform becomes the center for the zero trust, for integration of the 5G and the Wi-Fi and the LAN. But we're also integrating. We have another partner, Versa Networks. So Versa is SD-WAN, SASE, SSE solutions, bringing that same integration into those as well. So we've then got a WAN, LAN, wireless LAN, 5G, all encompassed in one solution. That is being worked on. Obviously, we're always bringing out new switches and new Wi-Fi access points, and essentially in the Wi-Fi portfolio, we're currently in the Wi-Fi 7 era, so there'll be lots of development in Wi-Fi 7. As soon as Wi-Fi 8 comes out, we will start developing Wi-Fi 8 access points. That's the route with Wi-Fi for sure. We're following the standards, Wi-Fi 7, Wi-Fi, whatever Wi-Fi standard comes out, we'll follow those and develop new products there. We're also developing new data center switching technology. This is primarily around the fact that a lot of data centers now, a lot of partners are bringing AI in-house. So they're starting to develop their own AI, as we have. They're developing it in-house. That needs quite a lot of computing power and needs some quite specialized switching.
Yeah.
So we are developing a track of data center for switching technologies fit that AI market for the enterprise, not for the mega players, but for the enterprise, where people are bringing that AI in-house and developing their own. So there's a few developments that I can definitely talk about, because they're on the roadmap. They've got a commit next to them on the roadmap. So that's where we go. And essentially, we will carry on developing new switches, and I say, new ruggedized. We have quite a big area where we work with ruggedized switching. So that's switching that doesn't sit in your nice, comfy, air-conditioned room. It's in horrible places where you really shouldn't put network switching. There's a lot of developments going in that area as well, and that's been quite a successful play for us, because we like to play in the IT OT space, or I actually call it the OT space, because I like to be a bit different, where there's lots of these different operational technologies which are now going to IP. Traditionally, they weren't. They can be a bit difficult to do. They're not very secure. but bringing that, doing a lot of work in that operational technology space to support certain protocols, certain things that operational technology needs in our technology, so we can build out more on the operational technology side.
Okay, well that sounds like it's going to keep you busy for a while to come. So maybe when we can maybe chat later in
Yeah.
the year and see what's going on. But at least for now, I'll let you catch your breath and thank you very much for your time. It's been fascinating to listen
Yeah.
to all that's going on. So Chris,
You're welcome, Philip.
appreciate
You're
your
welcome.
time.